Hey, Craig.
Let's get into some coffee talk.
Hey, I love it. I love doing some coffee talk.
Well, talk about what?
Dogs, daughters, whatever. It's coffee talk.
Coffee talk.
Well, okay. So it's coffee talk, and we've just been having big problems the whole time.
Big problems. Time burners. So, speaking about time burners, we were talking earlier about processes.
We sure were. That's for sure.
And we were discussing with a gentleman that will be on our podcast later about his processes.
Don't you mean a dude?
A dude about his processes. And so what he did is he was flipping some real estate, came out with a process, and then packaged that process and sold that. And now he's making tens of millions of dollars.
Tens of millions, if not hundreds.
Because of those what?
Processes. And
we were speaking earlier in a group about
processes.
Like internet leads and data leads, and everybody wants to know.
Yeah.
How do we do it? What's the magic bullet? And honestly, it comes down to processes. Because
if you have to have processes, otherwise you can't track and measure what's happening.
Tracking and measuring. You have to be able to measure.
So let me give you an example. And I don't think we brought this up, but I have two really, like, it's a good example because these two of my LSPs or sales guys that sit next to each other and how insanely disparate, how insanely different they are. Okay. One of them I would call an Allen Iverson.
Okay.
Because he's naturally gifted, but doesn't want to follow the processes. Right? Doesn't want to run the plays, doesn't want to practice. And then we have the other one who is not naturally gifted.
Okay.
I call him a robot sometimes. Like jokingly, like we all get along and he knows, like he's very clear. He's like, look, I just need the thing and I will follow it. And then,
right.
So what happened is he's following it perfectly. And this guy has the most talk time of everybody. He's the hardest working one, 4.5 hours, but he's struggling to close. But by having the right, and he tested well on the sales strengths identifier. So he could sell. He just, in this environment, getting data leads that are probably the hardest to close and have that long sales cycle. He's great up until there's an objection and he hasn't heard that objection before. Right? And you know why? Because our process was super tight up until the close, but then no process or really strong one that he felt comfortable with, and we practiced after that. And so in talking with the guy that we just had on, Stefan.
Ooh.
Yeah. In talking with him, I started getting in the weeds like I normally do. I go in and like I have to figure it all out. I should have been an engineer, I guess. But I said, what about the logic? Like, what if they say this? Do you do this? Or if we say this, should we do this? And what did he say, Jason?
He follows the Jordan Belfort straight line method.
The Wolf of Wall Street.
So in that method is you figure out everything that you have scripted out. You know the answers to the questions. And no matter what the answer is, it goes on to the following question.
Or the following step, right?
Or step, statement, question, So it basically, you just follow the straight line, and no matter what, as long as you read that out.
It's so funny. Even in the 7 steps, the thing that you do in Sales Blueprint, the trusted advisor stuff, overcome objections, the step overcome objections doesn't have a million different ways that you go. It's always the same thing. And it's like, It's just clear. It's clear as mud that we're going about it and making it too difficult. Like, okay,
Right.
because he would go, if he says this, what do you say? If he says this, what do you say? If he says this, and it's like, it doesn't matter what he says. It's all the same.
Right.
To your point of you peel back the onion.
You peel the onion.
Because no matter what the objection is, it's likely not what the objection is.
Yeah. And so it's super good. Like, this is what we teach our staff and stuff, is to keep asking questions. Okay, it's too high. And what about that was too high? But just keep that mentality where and it's good because it frees up you from having to talk.
Yeah.
The person talks, and then you get down to exactly what it is. And you can start, I don't know, telling them solutions to their problem and keep the conversation going. It's almost like not like a close. It's almost like a conversation that you want to keep going, and you want them to lead it.
And totally turn it around too. We'll say, or something that my mentor always would do with me if I came up with an excuse. But if it wasn't that, what would it be? Right? So I need to talk to my wife. If you didn't have to talk to your wife, what would you have to do?
Right.
And they're just like, huh?
And so that's the granular of that part, and that's great, right? That and there's sales methods on those parts, but then I think as what's that?
You cut out there.
I think as agencies. Oh, well, let me go back. I think that is we hear that sales process everywhere, overcoming objections and all that stuff. But you also have to have a process in which, how do the leads come in? What does it look like? A fail-proof way that those leads don't get lost. A fail-proof follow-up way. Follow-up. It's almost like a choose your own adventure, but you have to write it. So how do those leads come in? What's the email sequence that goes out? What's the calling sequence that goes out? For us,
what's the hearsay texting sequence?
The hearsay texting. Everybody has to, on that first call, say, hey, I'm texting you, whatever right now, just text back yes. So basically you want to write out the entire process of from A to Z, how you want that to look. Because I think the hardest thing for us as leaders is to convey the message clearly of what we expect and what we want. And with that, I mean, it's hard when it's not written down. Like we all as leaders need to take the time to write down what we expect and the clear path of that. And it becomes very easy for them to follow that when it's written down. And it becomes very easy to hold people accountable when that's written down. So as people...
It's all this work up front, right? And that's what prevents us. It prevents us from doing it. But once that work is done, now it's just tweaking
and measuring.
If you don't do that work, then it's a heck of a lot more work.
Yeah,
the other side, and it's costing you a lot of money.
Right. And that's the thing, especially when you're running like a ton of leads and a ton of agents and everything. You need to have everything written down because you want to see where you can. So we've gotten our cost per policy down really low, but it's just the only reason why is because we started somewhere and it was an expensive entry because you got to buy all these leads, right? And you kind of have a process when you first do it, but how do you know what the process is if you don't have a process, right? So you have this general idea of how to do it and you buy them. And then within that, you're like, okay, now I need to write the emails like this. I want them to sound more natural. So how's the email sequence? How's the calling sequence? Different leads usually have different, a different way to approach them. So you can tweak all those areas. It's just like anybody does on any business, right? Just you tweak those, all the different parts to it. And then eventually your cost per policy that was just astronomical gets tightened, down. It is expensive at first, I will say.
Because time is the most valuable thing, right?
It is. Yeah. So, I mean,
you notice what I just did?
yes.
What?
The Fashe, I see Fashe
The
book.
Book of Fosh. The Book of Fosh. So it's a little coffee talk live in the Book of Fosh.
Coffee Talk Live, talking about the process.
The process.
The process.
What and it's for everything, right? Not just so there's the sales process for us, the 7 steps or whatever process you're using. Then you have what you're talking about, which
Yes.
was the process to how are you working the lead once it's in. What about the process to get the leads?
Right. Exactly. And those things can be tweaked. I mean, everything can and must be tweaked.
And tracked and measured.
Tracked and measured.
But you have to set it up first.
You do. Yep. And so when people say like, what's the, how do you do that? Or how are you doing those sales or anything like that? It's like, dude, you got to get on the track if you're going to race. So get on the track, start it, and then you can start tweaking the process.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot. I mean, it's really hard because it can be, there's so many different processes you have to put together. And then each one of them takes so much time to get where it's down and you're doing it. Right.
Yeah.
So, but hey, it's just get on the track.
Yep.
Yeah.
So a couple of things that obvious, like you got to do training, you got to do the overcoming objections, what you normally see, but then you have to get into the weeds of where you buy, because the leads all come from the same places. So where are you buying your leads? What little tweaks can you do into the leads to kind of get a little bit better lead? But they're all
let me time out you there for a second, because I think that's really important. You always hear and you always see, have you heard about this lead place and how are they doing?
Right.
Or, hey, which leads are the best? I mean, dude, you know which leads are the best? The ones that don't cost the most. Because as long as, and we're asking the wrong question. The question shouldn't be which leads are the best. The question should be, what is the process that you have for working those data leads, for working those live calls, for working the aged leads, right? There's different kinds of those leads, but what is your process? Because you could go to a show. One of the guys here in Tucson, we'll do a shout out to Duncan Duncan. Keith Duncan. Man, I can't even think when I'm on the spot here. But Keith Duncan goes to the it's called SABA. It's like the Southern Arizona Home Builders Association or something. He does that every year, and he gets all these leads, right? I know, or he must get all these leads. I'd assume that's what he goes there for. But, is there a process on the back end to work those leads? So likely there is, because he continues to go back and gets results from it.
Yep.
But I've also heard people go, well, yeah, I had a booth, but I didn't get anything out of that. Well, what did you do? Did you call them once? Did you text them through hearsay one time? What did you do?
Right.
For us, when an interwebs lead comes in, I mean, they're getting hit every 2 hours. The first day, the second day, the third day, it's every 4 hours. Then it starts to trickle off. But we're not talking to what is it? I mean, lately our data is indicating that we're not getting a quote or talking to somebody until about the 10th call. 10th.
Yep.
How many people call beyond the third?
Right. That's it.
So I don't care. I'll buy all the leads, because you know what? Nobody else is calling past the third or fourth.
Right. Except all the dudes and dudettes that are listening. Right. Yeah, that's 100% it. And it's just, it all has to be written out. There has to be a process to it. I mean, even a follow-up process. If you're buying all the leads, what is the lead cost over 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year? It drastically goes down.
I was a month behind you, and I remember 2 weeks in, I'm like, dude, we're not closing in them, and I'm saving $500 a day. What do we do? And you're like,
I said, crank them.
Trust the process. Buy more.
I said, you're not buying enough.
Keep buying more. And I think this month to date from ALM, the one that everybody hates, 31 items. Oh, wait.
Nice.
You know what? He just got 3. And then earlier today, we got another 3 with a life. And I think those are all ALM. So 6 or 7 today from ALM.
Nice.
So don't buy any ALM because I want them all.
At least not in Arizona or California, right?
Please. Yeah. But if you do have anybody moving to Arizona or California, you know who to talk to.
Plug. Which Craig doesn't actually have plugs. It's all natural up there, isn't it?
It is all natural. Not bad for an old dude. I mean,
that's right.
And all the hair is still here.
All the hair is still there.
Actually,
Well, I
I'm
think
21. This is what it looks like when you do this business and you're 21.
That's right. I am 17.
Well, you behave like you're 17.
That's what my wife says.
You have Alf on your wall.
That's right. Boom.
Who do you prefer more, Alf or E.T.?
Alf.
Alf. More
E.T.'s
relatable?
boring.
Yeah. He doesn't say much, E.T. He's pretty quiet.
He just wants to go home.
And he got sick.
It's not a fun. Who wants to hang out with somebody that just wants to go home the whole time?
And take apart your little wordplay game.
Right. Alf wanted to eat cats. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge.
You froze.
It's me. I don't want them to be eaten, but I'm more of a dog guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you say you're more of a dog or cat guy? You seem like a cat guy.
I'm becoming a neither.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in a neither.
I hear you. You're heartless. I hear what you're saying. You're heartless.
It's the kids talk you into it. Then you get it. They promise they're gonna. It's the same old age old thing, you know.
Right.
They're gonna take care of them. They're gonna do all the work, and then who does? Who does all the work?
Right. And then you resent that. You don't want to. Yeah. You can't go on vacation.
The dogs don't even like me.
That's why you don't. Because they smell it. He doesn't even want us here. Look at him up there.
Meh.
Eating his food.
One of the dogs
not even giving me any.
He's so dumb. He ran into the wall and knocked his tooth out. I mean, come on. Come on.
Perfect. All right. Well, we lost everybody. So.
Yeah. What can you do?
Coffee talk.
Yeah. Is that it? Does anybody have any question? What if we could take a question live?
Ooh, a little extended coffee talk.
Nessa
Friday
says, I could get a shitload of leads. Okay.
Cool.
What's up, Craig Pretzinger? Nobody gave you a shout out. Yeah, nobody's typing anything. I guess they don't want to, one of your agents or the dog. Well, no comment, Ryan Cheo. No comment. Yeah.
I don't even know where he's seeing all this.
On the Book of Osh.
Oh, the book.
Did it not? Yeah, I'm live now in the insurance dudes group.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Cranking. Okay. Well, looks like our viewership is dwindling. So why don't we wrap that up?
Sounds
something else
good.
You wanted to dive into? Deep dive?
No, I'm tired today.
And if you have iTunes or one of the other ones, Spotify, of course, do what I always ask, which is give us a review and a little rating. This guy back right there.
Jazz.
That guy is on today. That guy.
Good one.
I'm pointing right at him.
He gives the deep, dark secrets of Craig and the dangerous things that he's doing in his agency. So you got to listen to it.
What? That's no dangerous things.
Well, the skydiving and the underwater ballet dancing.
No, none of that. None of that.
All right, buddy.
All right. Well, you have a great one. We'll see you next Dudeness Day. And,
sounds good.
Yeah. Then the following.
And we're out.
We are out. We're out. We're out.
Peace.
If I can figure out how to turn it off.
Hey, you've got to check out the Insurance Dudes Inner Circle, coming soon, where you get extended interviews as well as live coffee talks in our private Facebook group. Join the mailing list today at theinsurancedudespodcast.com. Hey, thanks for checking out the Insurance Dudes. Hey, please subscribe. We got some really great stuff coming out.